Morning, everybody. It is 8:10 a.m. It's September 10th. Yeah, this market's nuts. This market is nuts. It's September, folks. It's September. And this market is ripping right now, all because of Oracle saying that they got cloud orders. I want to say 500 billion or 500, something like that. We'll get into it. Now, earlier I was texting one of my friends, Rosita. I'm not sure if she's here yet. Just started my stream. I was telling her that. And I was telling you guys on Monday that I noticed XLK was coiling up. I said also to everybody, hey, what's up, Mark? I saw also to everybody that if I wanted to get long, the only stock I would have been interested in is AMD. And I showed you guys AMD on Monday morning, right? I said that's the only stock that I would be interested in getting long, but I said I don't like the environment that we're in. I don't have any confidence where the market's going to go, right? Well, AMD's up almost 4% today on Oracle's news. And it's actually hitting its expected move to the upside if you're using my indicator, right? So just really quickly to show you what I was talking about on Monday here. I'm going to show you guys in a second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up AMD and show you. Actually, hold on 1 second. Just to show you what I was seeing. Give me a sec here. And it all comes down to a daily chart and anchored VWAPs of the previous year, right? So if I show you here, right, and I show you AMD, remember what I said about AMD, okay? That's the anchored VWAP from 2024. And I was telling you guys, anytime I see stocks hit anchored VWAPs from the previous year, it seems to have stocks bounce. Now remember, AMD was a darling and made a meteoric rise, right? Whoop. And then it came back to life, came back down to earth a little bit, right? Started to bottom out at those levels. Okay. Now AMD is at 162. It's here. That's the expected move to the upside of my indicator, right? So, two things I'm showing you. One, that I said that could cause a bounce. Two, that I said I don't have confidence in this market, long or short. Okay, remember I'm an intraday trader, so that doesn't matter as much for me. But I like to put swing plays on, but I don't have any confidence. This doesn't mean I'm showing you I'm right. I don't regret not going long because I don't like the environment. That's not really what I'm saying. Okay, I'm saying that this market's so unpredictable. Okay, yes, would this be a nice move? It doesn't matter. That's not how I trade, right? So if we look at the extended hours, let's go to. We're only going to see that in like a 4-hour chart here. So here's a 4-hour chart. Look, that's the expected move to the upside. That's AMD's rise in the pre-market. See this consolidation? That's going to hold AMD for a little bit. Now, the one thing that I will look at, okay, is I might do an advanced spread on AMD knowing that it's at its expected move to the upside. So based on probabilities, this shouldn't go much farther than this. Okay. Now, what's also going on? Okay, what's also going on is XLK. Let's get into the sectors real quick. I know I'm going around, but I think this is important to show you guys. Okay. Sectors. Look at the leader today. XLK is 34% of the market cap weight in our S&P 500. That's what moves our markets. If that moves up, our market is going to move up. Doesn't matter, okay? So that is up 1.80%, close to 2%. Okay, that is monsters. Now, who's up with that? AMD, Nvidia, Broadcom, Microsoft. Apple's the only one that's not joining the party because people were not excited about their event yesterday. But that doesn't matter. Okay? If people buy XLK, you're buying Microsoft. Vice versa, if you buy Microsoft, you're buying XLK is going to move up. So let's look at XLK. And what's important to look at XLK, let me get back to this chart here. I'm going to go to the sectors here. And I'm going to show you XLK. Okay? All right, so this is a monthly chart. Let's zoom in on that. XLK right now is at 270. Folks, it's at its all-time highs right now. So if I break this down into a let's go for a 4-hour chart here. Let's go for extended hours. We have it on. This is what I'm talking about. You see all this coiling. This was doing this, and now it broke out, and it's at all-time highs. I still don't trust it. Okay, we still have PPI, we still have CPI, we still have FOMC next week, but this is a lot of momentum. Okay, it was coiled up. It was very coiled up. Okay, so what did I put that on? 4-hour chart. Let's get back to here. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so I just want to show you this chart. Okay, this is just a daily chart. Okay, most traded price of the year is right here, 243s. I'm sorry, this is not XLK. Give you XLK. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, most traded price of the year is 230 in XLK. Look at, so I have 90-day. This is 90-day. Basically, let's think about this as a 3-month profile. The most traded price was right here at like around 261. Look at all the volume that is coiled up here. We're over it, folks. So everybody who was short here is in pain. What a crazy market. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. It's crazy. No, I didn't know Oracle was going to have this news. No, nobody really did. But that's what's powering the XLK. Okay? So, just wanted to start with that, how crazy this market is. All right? It is nuts. It really is. Okay? And I'm not even here to tell you I'm right, because it's not about being right. It's about, like, I didn't know Oracle was going to do that. I didn't know that all these stocks would react this way. What I did know is if the XLK was coiling and it broke up to the upside, it was going to move the market higher. That's the only thing I knew, but I didn't know I wouldn't know what would do that, right? Because I don't trust the market. I don't come to you and tell you that I know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't have confidence in what's going to happen. Okay? So, let's restart this and get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge, folks. That's how I look at structure in the markets and come up with a game plan. I also use my market internals in our anchored VWAPs. Market internals are my bread and butter. Okay, they are my bread and butter. Now, Bookmap also helps me execute. I did have a short trade yesterday. It worked out initially, and then I got stopped. Okay, if I had to review my trade, I would say that I entered at the midpoint of a day is not my favorite, but I also entered at a key level, 6503s. And the market at the time when I did it, it was weak. The only thing I did not like is there wasn't a lot of volume built out at the lows. However, I had to put risk on, and I did get an initial 5 to 6 points in my favor, and it was looking good. And then I just said, hey, the market's got to prove me wrong. It did, and then we proceeded to just melt up higher. Okay? Now, if you want to join me, please do, and subscribe and set an alert. Happy to see my boy Mark's in here, if he still is. All right, subscribe. Let me give you the market story every day. Let me be your cup of coffee, tea, water, whatever you want to drink. And I'll give you the market news, the economic calendar, the leaders and laggards, and why the market's doing what it's doing. Okay, provide technical analysis. All right. I'll also give you a long and short trade scenario on the ES and the Nasdaq futures. Okay. Nice, Mark. So, I will never lead you wrong, okay? Because I'm a if-then scenario guy. I don't predict. Okay, I let the market tell me. It's what structure it's in. And remember what I was saying yesterday. I said this market is in a bullish macro way. Nothing I'm seeing was bearish. Okay? That's only my analysis, not a prediction. I let the structure tell me that, to say that, not my feeling. Okay? It's very important. Now, if you want more details, like I'm kind of saying today, the nitty gritty, the more granular stuff, you're going to join my Discord. Okay? That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, sign up. You get my weekly expected indicator. You get my intraday commentary. I think it's worth its weight in gold. I would love to have somebody like me narrating the market every day. Okay, so you can see my Discord here. I do videos, audio messages all day, telling you and my trades. Okay, every time I put a trade on. All right, so you can see it. I give trade recap videos here from my trades. You can see why I took them. Right, you have my weekly expected indicator here. You can throw it up on your chart, your Thinkorswim, your desk. Once you do it to your desktop app, then you have access to on your mobile phone. You can put that on your charts on your mobile phone, as seen here. I give an example. Okay, that's how it looks. All right. Now, one thing I want to make sure everybody understands is when I talk about market internals, right? And I always give these like screenshots of my market internals, what we're doing. Market internals are just what's under the hood of the market. That just shows me everything that's going on in the markets and how the market moves. So the market can't outperform internals, okay? Now, if you want more in depth and just to understand when he says internals, what the heck's he talking about? Well, there's an education channel here with the market internals. Okay, now inside that market internals, you have this video that I posted here and I pinned here. It explains in detail my market internals window, exactly what I see, what is the components of my market internals window. So give it a look. All right, give it a look. Sign up. I don't know why you wouldn't sign up. I mean, it's free, right? All right, so let's move on, folks. Let's move on. I'm coming straight out the gate with you. I'm coming pretty hot today. All right. So let's get in futures, huh? Let's see what's moving markets. Even though we have PPI data, it doesn't seem to matter. The market really cares about CPI, really, unless the PPI is something crazy. Okay. So let's look at the watch list here. We got Bitcoins up at 113. Now the percentage is thrown off. I don't know why the TOS doesn't know how to calculate that sometimes. Ethereum's up 1.27, Crude's up 1.25, Silver's up 0.67, ES up 0.30, Nasdaq's up 0.28. 10-year yield is up 0.20, gold's up 0.16, the dollar is basically flat. The Dow is down 0.19, 30-year bonds being sold, Russell down 0.28. The VIX is down 0.53. We're down back into a 14 VIX, which is kind of getting back into complacent territory. Okay. Now, let's go move on to the Mag 7 Plus. I already talked about AMD. AMD's up 4%, folks. Closed at 155, is at 162. Remember, it's hitting my expected move to the upside. Okay. That's where what I'm going to do is, I didn't finish that. I will possibly look, and I would like some early strength on AMD. And again, probably most of the people watching is not going to understand the spread I'm going to put on, but I'm probably going to put on a broken wing butterfly, a call broken wing butterfly to the upside, probably targeting some sort of resistance level. Right now, remember, 70% of the time that upside move is it. Probability is on my side. Now, if I do a broken wing butterfly and I target a resistance level, the beauty of the broken wing butterfly, I will put it on for a credit. Yes, I will put it on for a credit. I will get paid to put the spread on. And if the AMD on Friday, let's say, is around that strike that I'm targeting, I will make more money. All right, so that's part of the strategies that you could do with the expected move indicator. Okay, now let's look at this. AMD up 4%, Nvidia is up 2.83, Broadcom is up 2.50, all semis. Then you got Microsoft. Obviously, Microsoft's part of XLK. It's up 1.61. It actually broke yesterday's highs, all right, in the previous day's highs. So with 2 daily bars, it's broken it to the upside. Okay, so around 501 and change. That was 2 daily highs in a row. It is up to 506s now. So it's broken out essentially. Okay. Who knows what happens from here? I don't know. Tesla's up 0.53. Okay, let's go to some laggards. You got Meta down 0.1. This is not much of a laggard. Not much of a. Berkshire Hathaway down 0.35. JP Morgan down 0.47. Amazon down 0.62. And Apple, the people who had Apple had their event yesterday, and people are just not impressed. They have a thin iPhone, a new Apple Watch, AirPods, something. The cameras are better, but I just think people are just not impressed. You need to do something more. What is more? I don't know. Okay. Now, let's look at top sector stocks. Let's just see. Snowflake's up 0.89. Okay. Who's the laggard? There's nothing really going on here. Let's look at granular. Granular. There you go, folks. That's the main show today. Oracle is up 31.88%. 31.88%. It closed at 241. It's at 318 right now. Whew, what I love to own Oracle, right? My God. CoreWeave is up 11%. GameStop is up 8.9%. Vertiv, I'm a proud holder of Vertiv, up 5%. Their data center build out, Vertiv. That's why I'm invested in Vertiv, right? They do power supplies, electrical, cooling in data centers. They are up 5% right now. All right. ANET, I believe, is Arista Networks up 2.88. I'm also a proud owner of GV and Vernova. That's energy. Okay. Taiwan Semiconductors, another VST, another energy utility. Palantir. Okay, there you go. Let's see who's lagging today. Ooh. Chewy. That pet store. Down 9.41%. That's the only thing that really looks bad. We're moving on, folks. Let's move on, folks. All right, we're going to the sectors, and I already went over this, but let's see XLK up 1.80%. Monster move at all-time highs. I said it again, at all-time highs. Okay. Semis up 0.40. A little surprised that they're not up as much. Okay. Because you have Nvidia and AMD powering it, but it must be overall the ETF. There must be some laggards there. Okay. Who is the laggard? Is financials today. Down 0.34. Okay. All right, let's move on to the news, the economic calendar. We have news coming out in a minute. Oh, right now. Let's get to it right now. It's going to pop right now. Right there. Boom. Let's see. It's dropping. Oh! Big push up in the markets. Big push up in the markets. Let's see the news drop. Big push up. Initial push up. Now remember, we're breaking out of Friday's range, right? Friday, had inside days of Friday. Okay. Real quick, let's look at this push up. Now, I don't know if this lasts. Let the news roll in. Okay, I'm letting this update here. But that's your move. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. That is all-time highs, folks. What's all-time highs in futures? That's quite a nasty wick. But remember, this day, what was that? The Friday. We were inside Friday all week, and now we're outside. Okay? Let's see, these are rolling in now. 30-year mortgage has a nice, this morning had a nice, with that 10-year yield lowered. That is a nice move in the 10-year, in the mortgage rates. 6.64 previous, 6.49 now. Okay. I'm waiting for these numbers. I don't know why they're taking their little time rolling in here. Let me refresh it again. Come on. All right, so we got headline PPI. Wow. Whoa. That is a little insane, folks. The year-over-year headline PPI was expected to be 3.3. It's 2.6. Wow. It looks like tariffs are not doing much yet, right? This is wow. All right, core PPI year over year. We expected 3.5 and got a 2.8. A lot cooler than expected. How do we digest this news? Well, right now the market's going up, right? Right now the market is going up, but that's quite a miss. I'm still probably sure we're getting a cut, but that's very interesting, right? Wow, that's a very cool PPI number. Okay. Let's see, Rosita's giving us a headline here. Cat out of the bag before the news. Great. Doesn't matter. The market's responding to how it just came out now. All right. Oracle was the reason this market moved up, and the news that just came out now is the reason why it just went up. So that's the real reasons. Okay. Insane, folks. Just insane. Now, what's PPI going to look like tomorrow? Interesting, right? And even if you know the results of the numbers, how is the market going to react? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to know, right? Because it seems like we're pricing in cuts, right? The market moves up, we're pricing in the cuts. So when the cuts actually come, it might be, all right, we got our cuts. That's the top. And like I said, that 10-year, 3-month yield curve always precursors a recession when you uninvert and the Fed starts to cut. That's generally what's happened in history. And like I said, I'm not predicting anything. Okay? This market could move higher. I don't know. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy where we're at right now. All-time highs. All-time highs. Now, the thing is here, let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is not quite at all-time highs, I don't believe. No, it's not. Let's see. I think it's close, though. Let's zoom out here. All right. All-time highs is within reach here. 240.69 is your all-time highs in your NASDAQ. Signified right here by this white line is the previous month's highs. That's also the previous all-time highs. So, like I was saying all week about the NASDAQ, it was bullish. over 236. Nothing bearish about it, right? I wasn't going to play a swing trade, but I said right now there's nothing bearish about the NASDAQ. And now Oracle just was the catalyst, right? You want to throw PPI, a soft PPI in there? Hey, that's what's moving it as well. Okay, just look at the trend. If you just wanted to look at a trend, right? Above 236, right? But this is what the market's been doing, right? If you just go to here, it's trending higher. Did it really break? This is just a trend higher, right? I mean, that's kind of plain to see. That's what I said. It had bullish structure. Bullish. Yes, you had a little sell off yesterday, right to here, to a key support, and it just, that was it. Shorts had to take profits, and we just went right on up to coming up, right? We're in supply zone. I don't know how much that matters right now. Okay. Now, that's the there, right? So we know the numbers now are crazy. That's crazy cool numbers. Okay. So what else do we got today? Crude inventories. That's really it. You do have a 10-year note auction at 1 p.m. I hope to be out of the market by then. But lately, I've been trading. Sometimes I do find setups at that time. However, let's move on. So let's talk about some news. Oracle stock soared 31% after the software firm unveiled a strong booked revenue estimate for its artificial intelligence enhanced cloud unit. CoreWeave. CoreWeave. Stock rose 9.5 after the AI infrastructure firm benefited from Oracle's blowout results. Apple. Stock fell 0.5. Continuing to drop after the iPhone giant held prices steady amid U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs that have hurt the company's profit. GameStop. Talked about that earlier. Stock rose 8.9 after the electronics retail company delivered a surprisingly strong second quarter with revenue rising 22%. Novo Nordisk. That stock's been beaten down. Stock rose 1.1 after the drug maker said it will cut 9,000 jobs worldwide as the maker of popular weight loss drug Wegovy and diabetes treatment Ozempic seeks to reduce costs and streamline operations. Chewy, remember we saw that down like 9%. Stock slumped after the online pet retailer's second quarter disappointed investors. NIO fell 7.8 after the Chinese EV maker announced an equity offering as much as $181.8 million Class A shares. Okay. Let's look at some financial juice here. All right. Bunch of red here, market moving stuff. All right. Let's look here. Let me just refresh this. We have, let's get the risk up here. Let's see what the dollar, yeah, yields have fallen a little bit since dollar a little bit. Not too crazy. You can see the PPI numbers here. We got Mirren Fed nomination hearing at 10 a.m. 11:30, Trump receives intelligence briefing. Okay. Now, I did see that a federal judge blocked Trump from firing Fed Cook from that mortgage fraud. Don't know if that's really market moving, but that's just something I saw. All right. Now, we got more news here. See Oracle share jump on 500 billion cloud revenue prospect. There's the U.S. judge temporarily blocks Trump from moving Fed Governor Cook. Meta, TikTok win challenge against EU tech fees. Let's see. Slim iPhone Air could be designed win for Apple. Let's see here. What else we got here? I know Boeing had some news yesterday. Boeing Defense and the Machinist Union remained at loggerheads. I never heard that before. Loggerheads. After meeting on Tuesday in an effort to resume contract negotiations as a strike by about 3,200 St. Louis area workers that assemble military aircraft enters its sixth week. GameStop we talked about. All right. Meta we just heard. We just talked about Oracle. All right. Let's see if there's any. Nike. TD Cowen raises rating to a buy from hold and target price to 85 from 62. Oracle. Jefferies raises target price from 360 from 270. All right. All right. think we're good there. Let's look at breadth real quick. 48. Breadth dropped. Well, it's probably going to improve now, but 48% of stocks over the 20-day simple moving average after yesterday. Interesting, right? We're still just in the middle of the muck. This is where I like to look at and say that how much confidence do I have? I don't. Okay? Just reiterating, the confidence is not there. Alrighty. Let's move on to a little bit of market internals. How about a little bit of a market internals? Alright, give me 1 second here. We will move on to those market internals. Alright. Here's our market internals from yesterday. Very interesting session. You had the weakness, and the market cap was weaker than the equal weight, right? That's why I got short in here. I was like, yeah, this is still weak. I was able to get like this move right there, and then it came and got me. Okay, so the internals recovered quite a bit, and I was looking for a short still when we were here, and then I was like, you know what? I didn't have that short appear. There was a key level of the SPX 6508s. We took that out, and then we went right up. Okay. Now, yesterday tech was weak. See, it never even finished in the green. Now, remember, this is all off the open. Remember, this is 33.5%, basically 34% of the market cap weight. Okay. So this is what the story was yesterday. Weak, recover, and got not strong, I would say, but just over zero. That made sense why the market did what it did yesterday. Okay. And that is your market internals recap. All right. So we're going to get into daily charts. Let's do it. Back to the dailies. In this insane market. Okay. Now, we do have our expected move to the upside this week. That would be 658.39. We are not really near that, about $5 away from that. We still have CPI to come out. We still have Michigan consumer to come out on Friday. All right. But that's the expected move, meaning it doesn't mean it's supposed to get there. The expected move is really the range, $11.15. All right, so let's get into what happened. Notice what yesterday did. Okay, that black line is last Friday's close. It came down to last Friday's close, and literally it was like, nope, and pushed up and broke the previous day's highs. Still within last week's range, and still within Friday's candles, right? Where are we at now? 653.58, 653.58. It's not even on the screen. It's way up here. I have to do this. It's up here. Gapping up. We're gapping up over Friday's highs, last week's range. Okay, so that is bullish, right? Now, are we going to get another blow off top? I don't know. So we'll have to see, right? You have to see. Let's look at futures. Let's look at futures. So here's our futures. You can clearly see we're all-time highs. 55, 65, 65, 60, 65, 65, 25. We're above last week's range. What are you going to say? All-time, it's bullish. All right. That's all you can really say. It's bullish. No, not much more analysis. There's no resistance. So that's what we're looking at, folks. Moving on to the Qs. Okay. Here's our Qs. Now look at what it did yesterday. Starting to have this balance range, right? Right here, 239s, 239.30s. I've been talking about in futures, and we'll go to that in a second. But it never reached Friday's close, right? You did break the lows of the previous day, and that was a little bit of a bear trap. And then it lifted the rest of the day, right up into last week's highs. Now, where are we at? 584s. We're all the way up here, folks. That is all-time highs, I believe. Yeah, I think that's all-time highs. Yep, all-time highs. Gapping up. Look at that. You're gapping up. It's a little bit of an exhaustion gap. You're gapping up above this 581 level. So any shorts in here are blown out of the water right now. You're above last month's highs. That's the all-time highs. So QU's finally made all-time highs. Crazy. It was definitely relatively weak than the SPY, and now it's like back to like even with it. Insane. Let's look at the Nasdaq futures. All right. Now Nasdaq futures, there's the 239s. You see that resistance? That's what I kept talking about all week. 239s, 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 239s. Well, now you're broken that 239s. And I said the all-time highs 240s, 69s, right there, right in futures grasp. Okay? Can only say this is bullish because that's what the market is showing us. Look at this. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay? The only thing we're going to note now is let's look at yields. Okay? Yields have been falling. And now they had one rally day yesterday. Now they're starting to fall again. That's last week's lows. If we break last week's lows, we could find ourselves under 4% yield. Interesting, right? Interesting. Let's look at that dollar real quick. Dollar's been doing nothing. Yep. See, that's why I don't even look at the dollar. It's just in this range. It's horrible. Now, definitely a weaker dollar is generally good for equities and commodities, but we'll see. Sometimes the correlation is not there, or inverse correlation isn't always there. Okay. Now, all we can do is look at hourly charts here. Not much until in that to analyze because there's no resistance above us. We're at all-time highs. Okay, we are at all-time highs. All right, so I'm letting this kind of play out a little bit so I can give you guys some good analysis. Okay, this was last week's highs, which was all-time highs, and you can see I talked about it all week. 64.70, the most traded price of the month. You had to stay above it, and your 65. I think this is a 6503s, right? It gave us that little brief moment here of coming down to this level, which is like this support here, and that was all she wrote. Took back 6503s, and look at the move. Stay above 6503s and 6470s is bullish for the ES, the S&P 500. I've said that yesterday plenty of times. Okay, I said we're only bearish below 6470. That's when I'm like, okay, this could have some teeth into the bears if we did that below that level. Find acceptance. We have not. All right, that's as easy as it gets. Can't put it any clearer for everyone. Moving on to the Qs. Here's our Qs. Okay, same thing. I said over 236s, right? Over 236s is bullish. Why does that look like that? Oh, over 236s is bullish. This was Friday's range, folks. Last Friday. And look, we just broke that. That's last week's highs. We're out of that range. Okay. Out of that range. We got a nice trend going up higher. We are above this now the 23930s. You can see there's a high volume node here. I said I'm going to trust this move higher if we find acceptance above it. So this is very bullish, folks. All-time highs are in sights right there. We are in supply. So there is some resistance overhead in the Nasdaq. But all-time highs is 24069s. That's your hourly charts, folks. Now, let me move on. And we're going to get into our market profile and volume profile analysis. Let me switch workspaces. This is where it gets a little, maybe advanced, I would say. Okay. this down here. Okay. Here's our market profile. Now, I do have to note something here. All right. You remember I was saying there's a bullish imbalance to the profile, especially in the NASDAQ, right? And I said that probably is going to predict a move to the upside. Well, here's our rolling profile in the ES. Okay. We have access to the downside. We have value area, 70% of the trading. Then we have, guess what, folks? We have excess to the upside. That is a bell curve. That is a completed distribution. Generally, if you see a completed profile, that's the end of the auction. Okay? This is why I love profile. So to me, what the market has to do now is prove itself. Okay? Now that we have a completed profile, what does the market need to do? Well, 65.03 is the most traded price of the week. Right? This is how simple my system is. Oh, price is above it. 1, bullish. 2, what do you need to do, market? Well, the market needs to start building out volume somewhere in this area above here and move the most traded price of the week up. Because what that's going to do is going to have price pull value up. Market needs to prove itself now. Okay? The market, if you ask, can do this. Get thinner, thinner, and thinner. And when you get thinner and thinner, it's less participants, less people. Okay? So, what happens, if you ask, if price cannot pull the most traded price of the week higher? Well, guess what it does? If you can't do that, price returns to value. It goes back home and get in its warm bed, snuggles up back to where the value is. That's how it works. Okay? If we don't spend much time here, we're going back to 65.03. And this September, the way the market's moving, it's nuts. All right? Let's get into it, folks. So we are gapping up. It's a pretty large gap. So first thing we're going to mark off is our gap fill, 65.28. 65.28. We are also going to draw a region in this demand zones here. This will encompass the close from yesterday, the overnight lows, this demand zone, okay, the most traded price of yesterday, which was 65.16. That's a very strong close at the highs, right? Now, what else do I notice a little bit in this profile, in the overnights? Okay, we do have a little bit of a bearish balance to it. So this looks like if we can't start building out volume here, that it wants to go down. Now, I won't put too much weight into that because we got PPI news, we got Oracle news, right? Another thing that here was we were almost 100% net long in the overnights, and we're up at the top. Okay. Now, one thing you're going to note here, if anybody wants to know the difference between market profile and volume profile, okay, you can see the difference right here. If you look at market profile, this is time-based. You can see the most time was spent where? Down here, right? That's the POC, 65.37. That's the most time spent. But check out the volume profile. That shows you the most volume. It doesn't care about time. So most times they work together. Okay, but this is the difference. I like to lean on the volume profile. That's price. That's people's behavior. They made this 65.54 as the most traded price of the overnights. So if you looked at market profile, it would look like, oh, the POC is here. So, wow, that's bearish because the POC's here. Well, volume profile is telling you no, that most people are trading right here. So that's a key difference, okay? All right. So, gap fill. Another thing you need to note is the midpoint, the 50% retracement of the overnight is 65.45. And why that's important is you want to gauge that. You don't want to go below that too much. And what does that have? We have last week's highs here, 65.41. That's also all-time highs previously. Okay? These are just the things that we have to mark off, okay? We have 65.03s. 65.03s. I'm going to mark it off here, and we're going to go down to a key support level to 64.90s. That's yesterday's lows along with the prior day's lows. Okay? And of course, we have our all-time highs in an overnight session, generally not secure. You generally don't have all-time highs in an overnight. Okay? So, how are we going to look at this? We're going to do scenarios now. I doubt Mr. Kujawinski is still with me. I would doubt that. If he is, I'm shocked. I would think this would be like looking at hieroglyphics. I'm going to assume he's not. Maybe documents. Maybe documents. Maybe a Mayo. I don't know if the Rosa Daza here with the cat out of the bag, if she's listening still. She probably still is. And we're going to get into scenarios. All right. Now, big gaps, not easy. All-time highs, not easy. So, not easy, folks. I'm going to say that right away. So, what am I going to look at here? We know the most traded price lead overnight is right here. All right. Oh, she's always got to let us know her business, folks. Very busy woman. Very humble. Very humble. All right, let's see here. Price right here at the most traded price of the overnights, okay? So, what could we look for? What am I going to look for? Well, I know 100% net long, right? But you have to really respect we broke the 65.40s, which I was saying was a very key level here. Okay? It's more or less an exhaustion gap. Because look, you took out, if you really want to see it, you took out all this. All of this is taken out now. Okay? Everybody's hurting who was short. All right, so what are we going to look at? So, what could happen? All right, and I'm not a fan of this, but it definitely can. You get a gap and a go, you break the overnight highs, you make real-time RTH highs, and you want to see the test of a 65.54s, that overnight VPOC. This could hold, and then you could just dribble up to all-time highs. Okay? You could pull back right to the next level, right? You got the midpoint of the overnights. You got the key 65.40 breakout level and all-time highs. You could also come here and start to move higher. Okay? Now, one more time. This needs to happen fast. If we come down and fill that gap, okay, 65, I think it's 65.28 or not, eights. Right here. That could also be the move. Okay? Now, this has to happen quick because we're all the way up here. I think we might have some weakness if we slowly come back down here. Okay? That's a gap fill. And this is crazy because if this all happens fast, this is all longs to take. If we go under the 65.16s, okay, I like these better because of where we are now in relation. I'm not a fan as much as these, but like I said, they have to be quick. Okay, notice everything's long. Okay, everything is long. That's the long side. Okay, short side. And we could be in for a big bull trap again. What do I want to see? Okay, well, I'd like to see this. Let's break those highs, right? Let's break the highs. Let's make a lower high. Let's come and test and see what the 65.54 is. Remember, we know people are long here. Now we're here, right? So this could happen in front of our eyes. As soon as you break this and hold it, you're going to fall. You're going to fall. Okay? It's going to be a nice, you got thin volume here. You're going to come right in to the 65.40s, 41s. Honestly, that's where the rubber meets the road. If we lose that, you're going to go to the overnight lows and fill the gap. And that could be it. If you get the monster, you go down to the yesterday's most traded price, 65.16. If we really get all these bulls trapped, you're going down to what? 65.03s, and that means that price could not pull value up. If this gets bloody as all bloody could be, it goes down to 65.70s, 64.70s, and that's your month-to-date anchored VWAP. Do I know if that happens? No. Do I think that happens before CPI? Probably not. This right here is the key. This scenario. Even just this. Okay? That's the only thing I'd probably be interested in. Something like this, and I'm like, oh, this market's not strong. That's about it, folks. All right, moving on to the NASDAQ so I can get you guys out of here. All right? NASDAQ time. Our old little NASDAQ here. Well, I wouldn't say old. All right? So let's bring this chart down a little bit. Kind of looks like a balanced profile to me. So let's analyze that first. So we have excess, folks. We have value, folks, and a little bit of excess to the downside. Okay, same thing. Your most traded price of the week is around 283, probably 50s, 283.50s around. Okay, right here. Above that, bullish. Above the 23930s, bullish. Stay above those, it's bullish. Right? Now, mark off some levels here. Your 23956s is your 50% retracement of this move in the overnights. We're going to line that up with the 23930s right there. Now we're also almost 100% net long as well. We're going to line this next demand zone up with gap fill. Your gap fill is around I can't really see that right now. 238.88, I believe. Okay. All right. And we do have supply from the past here. All-time highs is right there. So that's the difference in the NASDAQ. You do have overhead supply. Now, we also have our 23850s. That's the most traded price of the week. You don't want to lose that, folks. You don't want to lose it. Okay? We also broke the 239s, like I said. Okay? All right. Let's get into scenarios. Get you out of here. Start with the bull side. All right. So, in supply, we got rejected into supply. That's not a surprise. Okay? We didn't make all-time highs yet. Okay? So, what I want to see is this. In this case, maybe we just come up here and fall back into the 239.30s. Maybe even have to tap last week's highs, come above it, retest it, and then make all-time highs. Okay, that's number one. Now notice the VPOC in the overnight did not shift up like it did in the ES. It's down here. Interesting, right? What we could also do is come into here, fill the gap. That's the overnight VPOC. Really? Okay, that's the overnight VPOC. That's gap fill. There is demand here. Now, what I kind of probably would want to see is you take back to 23930s and hold it to go long. Okay. If we did make it back all the way down to 23850s, yesterday's most traded price and the most traded price of the week, the market is probably weak here. Yes, we could bounce. I'd have to really gauge it. But if there was a bear trap, this would be it. And if we took it back, I'm not saying we go all the way up here. We're going to probably just move up. Okay? That's all for the longs. Short side. We do have supply in this case above us. Okay? So, let's say the market just rips. We make all-time highs. And all of a sudden, you get a nice wick and a lower high. Well, if the market is not that strong, that could be a possible short here. Right, you got thin volume, and you're going to make your safe probably all the way back down to the 23930s. That's your first test. If you crack that, you're probably going to maybe retest it and go down to fill the gap. If you take that, you fill the gap and you get farther weakness, you're taking out overnight lows, you're going to go down to the most traded price of the week. That can't be broken if you're a bull. If it is broken and you find acceptance and you retest and the market's weak, yep, this could get pretty ugly. Okay, there's still single prints down here. There is a lot of demand. Okay, I don't think we go to 236s, but that's the next major level. I don't think this happens before PPI. Okay, so anything up here in some weakness and I see in internals, I'm all about it. It doesn't mean that the market can't bounce up because I showed you the long scenarios. Okay, this is like the most I'll be looking for. This is not an easy trade by no means. All right, that's it, folks. That's it for me today. Smash the like button if you enjoyed it. Help my channel out. All right, smash that like button. That much appreciated. All right, and as always, join me every morning and give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards, and why the market's doing what it's doing. Okay? The market rose because of Oracle. The market rose a little more because of the CPI. PPI was cool. A lot cooler than expected. Okay? A lot cooler. That's what's going on. We broke out of key levels. We broke out of Friday's range. We are gapping up. Okay? This is what's going on. All-time highs in the ES, almost all-time highs in the NASDAQ. Very bullish charts. And it's crazy. Not easy to trade. Okay? Not my favorite. But we have our scenarios. Okay, we have our scenarios. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage from me, you will join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. As I stated earlier, you get intraday commentary, you get my trades, you get the weekly expected move indicator, and I showed you earlier the market internals. Go to the education, go to the market internals, and click on that YouTube. It shows in depth why I use the market internals. So do yourself a favor and do that. Let me be your indicator. If you want me to go live, send me a DM in Discord and just say, hey, can you go live today? Ask me questions. I'll be happy to do it. Okay? I'll be happy to do it. So hopefully I see you there. If I don't see you there, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, and I wish everybody to have a great day.